attention, please. We're going to start our meeting. Mayor-elect Clerk Grandview, can you state to us that we have a quorum present?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, we do.
Reverend Max Taylor, would you have an invocation for us, please?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Let's pray. Good evening, Creator and Sustainer God. We bow before you in this City of Jasper Council meeting to seek your truthful guidance and presence in our lives and in this chamber. We're excited about this holy season to celebrate the birth of your Son and our Savior, who came to earth to show and teach us how to live. We're thankful for our community and the cooperation we experience enabling a positive future for our city. We're thankful for all the city employees and the council and for first responders that labor together each day to serve our community. We give you thanks this night for the 4-year term of Mayor Steve Lawrence, who has led with inspired vision, character to do what is right, and an appreciation of all citizens. Continue to be with him as he deals with medical issues, that his life will continue to honor you in his living. So as the City of Jasper turns another historical page in its life, continue to guide with principles of integrity, respect of individuals, and to always seek your guidance, tempering their decisions. Excite us, dear Lord, as we celebrate this holy season of Christ with us. And everybody said, Amen. Amen. Councilmember Jim Lindsey, would you lead us in our pledge of allegiance?
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council, the public hearing part of our agenda tonight, we have an amendment that's needed at their request. Pinnacle Holdings has requested that we move that item until next time.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented with the amendment of number 3 being removed at the applicant's request. That will be heard on January 8th before Mayor and Council at that time.
Thank you, Kurt. That's a motion.
Second.
Sonny, thank you for a second. Any discussion by council? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And the motion is carried. Thank you. At this time also, you have presented to you our consent agenda, and rather than forget that item, I'm going to go ahead and adopt it now. So I entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
The motion is second. Any discussion by council? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. And the motion is carried. At this time, we will enter into our hearing. Item number 1 is public hearing is proposed 2024 budget. And I'm going to ask, who's going to bring this to us tonight?
I absolutely can. Good evening, Council, Mayor and members of Council. So we have actually packets that we have provided you tonight with a synopsis of the budget request as it stands. We also have provided them to members of the audience if they are interested in seeing that as well. And it contains a synopsis for balancing the budget along with revenues and expenses. It also contains some increase in fees that we are proposing, recommending for City Council's consideration in the Development Department, as well as the Water and Wastewater Fund for increases. What your packet has are your current fees, and then it has the next page is your proposed fees for recommendation for City Council's approval. In addition to that, we've included the full tax schedule and fee list so that members of the public, as well as you can see all of the fees that the City of Jasper charges for any item in order to add to the funding of operations for the city services. And we have also included some highlights by department of items that have been requested for us to provide services to our citizens. We will need some additional capital items, and those are listed out as well.
Thank you. So I'll ask anyone in the audience if they have comments to make about this particular budget that we have had out for some small amount of time. So questions from anyone, comments on the audience? If not, we'll move to item 2. Item 2 is a request for a variance from the City of Jasper zoning ordinance, section 94-157, dumpsters, to locate a dumpster in the front of the parcel 041016, out parcel 2, located at 52 James Drive in the C2 General Commercial District. Anyone here, please bring that to us. Thank you.
Good evening, Council and Mr. Mayor. Mayor Elizabeth Burgess, Development Director. Before you have a variance request made by Randall Stallings of Foresight Group on behalf of Gateway Gateway Parcel LLC, Gateway Project LLC. Oops. We are. So existing conditions, you guys have seen this a couple of different times when we're trying to get ready for this development to be permitted for good. So it is just shy of 19 acres. It's currently zoned C2. The location of the parcel is currently vacant and it is going to be used as a fast food restaurant with a drive-through. If you recall, they also have a special use permit for that drive-through that was granted in July. So surrounding uses, so next door we have some vacant land zoned C2. The QT's across the street to the south, behind or to the north is the Chevy dealership. And across the street as well to the east is the, to the west is the U-Haul. So right now we're talking about out parcel number 2, 53 James Drive. There was an error on the application that stated it was 52, not 53. 53 is the corrected as amended. And so right now we're talking about the dumpster. That's the dumpster location right up top there. And this is what they're proposing for it to look like. So when granting a variance, there are several criteria that need to be met in order to have that variance granted. So I'll go through those briefly. There are 5 criteria. And so, are there anything extraordinary, exceptional conditions pertaining to this property? So as you can tell, this property has basically the 2 frontages. One on Camp Road, kind of at that corner, that kitty corner, and one, right there is the parcel. So you have the one along Camp Road and then the interior roads, which are named and identified roads, as you see James Drive and not a Camp Road. So as a zoning official, I interpreted the front to be the portion inside the property in the main development, not along Camp Road. So where this is different and kind of extraordinary is the fact that they do have 2 frontages, if you were to look at it that way, as Camp is a frontage as well. So the location, the parcel itself is a little bit unique. So the second one is the application of this ordinance to a peculiar piece of property would create an unnecessary hardship. So the development of this parcel if we were to locate the dumpster along the Camp Road area, it would interrupt the traffic flow and the queuing of the property. That could be a hardship for the development of the property as the intended use. It is peculiar, are such conditions peculiar to this piece of property? Yes, again, it could have the interpretation of 2 frontages. And is this a result of the property owner? No, not at all. And so finally, if relief is granted, would this cause substantial detriment to the public good or impair the purpose of the intent of the zoning ordinance? And it is our contention that it would not. So that being said, staff recommends that there is approval of this at this time. You'll see the actual dumpster layout right there. So you have what it's going to be made out of and what it's going to look like. So the Planning Commission as well recommended approval with conditions. The conditions are that they stick with this drawing here and that they add additional landscaping along the James Drive side in order to shield it from the interior traffic of the Gateway Crossing Center. Any questions?
Thank you. Any comments from anyone in the audience concerning this particular item number 2 variance? Thank you, Emily. If not, that will be the end of our public hearing, and we will move to unfinished business. Item 1, consideration and approval of ordinance 2023-21 to rezone parcel 030D-087 located at 654 Philadelphia Road, consisting of 4.46 acres, to be rezoned to C2 general commercial from RA residential agricultural. And we'll ask our planning and development director, Mary Elizabeth Burgess, to bring that to us.
Good evening, again, Mary Elizabeth Burgess, Development Director. So this, you heard this at your last meeting. This is 654 Philadelphia Road, approximately 4.4 acres that they're requesting a C2 zoning designation from an RA designation. If you recall, there are several uses that we did not want to include in this C2 designation, such as warehousing, gas stations, boat repair, everything that is pretty much something that we would not like to see along our commercial development corridor. This is indeed consistent with our comprehensive plan and sticking with a retail feeling along this corridor. And so staff and the Planning Commission recommended approval with the conditions.
Staff, council, I entertain a motion at this time.
Motion to approve ordinance 2023-21 as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion by council?
Yes, sir. May I address me directly?
Please.
The adjacent property, is that how is that currently zoned?
The property to the east, it is currently zoned RA.
All right, okay. Thank you.
Any further discussion by council? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. And the motion carries unanimously. Item number 2, consideration and approval of ordinance 2023.22 for parcel 028051, which is a landlocked parcel located in the vicinity of Cove Road and Grandview Road, consisting of a total of 34.25 acres, to de-annex from the City of Jasper and annex into Pickens County. And we'll ask you once again, Ms. Burgess, our Planning and Development Director, to bring this to us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If you recall, this property is roughly 35 acres. It is, it's kind of landlocked where it is in, it does not have direct access to a frontage. You have to go through a property. There is a small utility easement that could be used as a little bit of egress and ingress, however, is not wide enough to build a road to standard, so it was meant to be kind of like a driveway. Right now it has no public utilities and it's vacant, and as I stated last time, we don't have any really criteria for de-annexing property, so we were just recommending approval as we don't have any criteria at this time. I did speak with EPD and SWCD, Soil and Water Conservation District, in response to Mr. Proctor's question regarding our well over there, and all they could come up with was the 100 feet that is used for septics as well. It has to be 100 feet apart. So that's all the information I have.
All right. Council, entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve ordinance 2023-22, correction, I'm sorry. Motion to deny ordinance 2023-22 for discussion purposes.
Second.
Have a motion to deny and a second. Any further discussion by council on the denial? All in favor?
Discussion, sir?
I have some discussion.
You go right ahead.
For the benefit of the public as well as to address council, not only did we reach out to EPD about the potential for the impact of the sewer on this adjacent property to our main water source, we also had discussions with the engineer that has overseen most of the development of that water source. And we have discovered that this part of this parcel directly overlies our mines, which is we're hopeful that we will eventually be able to convert those into an injection well. For those of the people who don't understand that, that's basically an underground reservoir. And we've been working with EPD really for about 3 years on achieving this. And we already have 3 wells that drill directly into the mines, and we hope very much that we will find that the mines have surface water. So far, we've not been able to determine that, but we also hope that if it is groundwater, we will be able to partially treat the water and fill the mines as well. We're very close to being able to submit that information to the EPD, and I think as tenuous as our water supply is, we need to take as many measures as we can to protect that property and the surrounding areas. And that's, from my perspective, the main reason why I think we need to be very careful when we do de-annexations versus other types of changes of property types. So, thank you, sir.
Any further discussion by council?
Mr. Mayor? Dr. Proctor touched on part of it where this land is above or on top of part of our water source or the mines. So it's critical that we evaluate every step of this process.
Anyone else?
I can't think of anything more important to us right now than our water, so I think we have to protect it.
So I have a motion and a second to deny the consideration and approval. All in favor of the denial, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. And the motion is denied. Item 3, consideration approval of ordinance 2023.24 to rezone parcel JA07 099 located at 45 East Church Street, consisting of a total of 0.4 acres to be rezoned to C2 General Commercial from CBD Central Business District. And once again, Ms. Burgess, our Planning and Development Director, knows all about this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If you recall, this is the gas station that is along Church Street, as well as, Church Street and Wall Street. So it has the 2 frontages there. Currently, it is grandfathered with a gas station. They'd like to add a convenience store. The gas station is grandfathered, so therefore it is pre-existing non-conforming and can operate until it ceases to operate for longer than 6 months. And then if it no longer becomes pre-existing non-conforming. So to add a convenience store, which is not allowed in the central business district as well, they would need to seek for a rezoning to a zoning that is appropriate to have a convenience store and a gas station, and that is C2. Discussions with the leasee were about bringing this site into conformance, A, for our vehicular and pedestrian traffic, providing sidewalks, designated entrance exits. They are no longer going to be using the garages for that service. They are going to be using that for their convenience area when they build out the store. Adding landscaping, removing the Citgo sign and having a monument sign that is more in line with the CBD guidelines. And also updating the facade to represent the brick or the different design guidelines that go along with the CBD. So we have talked with the owner, and I mean, the applicant and the owner has the right to rezone the property and make changes. And just for the concern as it is concerning to remove a property from the CBD, I did put a 7th condition, which would be a reversion clause, and I know a lot of people haven't had a lot of experience with this. We've used it, or I've used it in other jurisdictions, where if the property ceases to be used for longer than six months or longer in this use, the zoning will revert back to the CBD. So, staff is recommending approval, and Planning Commission recommended approval 3-1.
Thank you. Council, entertain a motion to approve the rezone parcel JA0799 located at 45 East Church Street, 0.4 acres to C2 general commercial from CBD.
So moved.
Thank you, Ann. Second, please.
Second.
Thank you,
Is
Kurt.
that with the conditions?
Pardon?
With the conditions?
Approval with
conditions.
conditions.
With conditions, correct.
And as presented.
Okay.
As presented.
I didn't
Do
go,
that,
I didn't think I did.
No, I'm glad you brought that up.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion by council?
Yes, sir, if I may. Go ahead.
1 and 2. Okay.
Go ahead, Kurt.
Mayor and council, thank you for hearing us out. It's exciting that we're working with businesses that are operating in our central business district and bringing different business models to us. One question I did have for our director is, along with the conditions, number one, the applicant is present. You understand all the conditions?
Yes, sir.
For us, is there a timeline for the conditions to be met? Has that been discussed or determined? Is there a time?
They haven't submitted, well, they've submitted for a building permit, and this is what triggered all of this. So I was thinking that they would go at the same rate. So, because we're gonna have to do some site plan work as well in order to get the landscaping, the vehicular and all that traffic addressed. So if you'd like to add some sort of, I mean, we're close to approving the building permit right now.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question. So they do not have a permit yet? They've applied for it?
For the convenience store?
Yes.
Correct.
So there's nothing that we can, using that permit, there's nothing that we can force them into conformity on our CBD building architectural standards?
That was one of the conditions, that they do comply with our
No,
architectural
I'm saying
standards.
if we
If
don't.
they didn't have a building permit and they weren't expanding, correct.
If they, well, they've applied for a permit, but if they had that permit, would that not force them into compliance?
No, it would not. Well, so this is because it is a not an allowed use, this is how this was caught. So
Yeah.
when they applied for the building permit to expand that use into the convenience store, because it was just supposed to be a gas station, this expanded that use, and therefore they were not allowed to operate as convenience stores. So that was the trigger that got us to the point we are at now.
And one of our variances that we cannot do is use, you told me
Correct.
today.
Correct.
So the follow-up question, the architectural standards for our CBD are pretty onerous as it relates to the facade. And I'm not saying it couldn't be done, but it's going to be challenging on that building to have the same type of standards that we have recently approved. I'm not, who is going to oversee that process to make sure that it is, let's just for better term, we'll say tastefully done?
So it's gonna go along with the building permit.
Okay.
So in order to make those exterior alterations, they will need to go along with what they're doing now. So they'll have to make them on the new portion as well.
Yeah.
So it's just gonna be taken as an entire building.
Because the new standards really are typical of historic type buildings with, but, okay, that's good, I'm good.
One last question. If approval was not granted, the gas station portion would remain in operation, simply the building would sit vacant, not used as a convenience store.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor of approving with conditions, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. And the motion is carried. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Sorry to be such a pill.
Under new business, item number 1, consideration and approval of Rushton and Company 2023 audit engagement letter and fees. We'll ask our finance director, Lindsey Williams, to bring this to us.
Thank you, Mayor. So Rushton and Company has provided staff with audit fees for 2023. They've presented $29,000 for this year. The city's been fortunate enough to have a good working relationship with Rushton and Company, and we were just asking if you could please approve the engagement letter to continue using them this year for our audit.
Okay, thank you. Council, entertain a motion to approve the engagement letter and fees.
So moved.
Second. Kirk and Ann, thank you. Any discussion by council?
I have a question for Mr. Seifert.
Uh,
David, is there any law in the state of Georgia that requires a city or a county to change auditors every so many years?
There's no law that I'm aware of that would mandate that.
Okay. We had heard that there was, so I was just clearing that up. Thanks, sir. That's
So
it.
there's no law, if I could clarify for the cities, but there is a law for the counties?
I don't know, I'd have to look, but I'm not aware of any law that would require the city to change auditors every so often.
Obviously, we'll let county rule with theirs, so thank you, sir. Any further discussion, questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. And the motion carries unanimously. Item number 2 is consideration and approval of alcohol license for the Woodbridge General Store LLC. And again, we'll let Ms. Williams bring that to us.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So Ms. Flint with the Woodbridge General Store LLC has made application to sell wine by the package at 19 North Main Street. The background check had no discrepancies, and the applicant has met all the advertising requirements. They were looking for approval on this license.
Thank you. Entertain a motion to approve the consideration for alcohol license for the Woodbridge General Store LLC.
Motion to table, Mayor.
Second.
I have a motion to table by Kirk and a motion to second by John Faust. Motion to table. Any discussion by council? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. And the motion is tabled until our next regular meeting.
Thank you.
Item number 3, consideration and approval of ordinance 2023.25 for a variance from the City of Jasper zoning ordinance, section 94-157, dumpsters, to locate a dumpster in the front of parcel 0411-016, out parcel 2, located, I believe that's at 53 James Drive in the C2 general section. And Ms. Burgess, I think we might have just covered a lot of that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, you just heard the gist of this roughly, 7 minutes ago. Again, we are recommending approval of this variance. We believe it has met the criteria listed in our ordinance, so approval with the conditions. Conditions being that the provided refuse enclosure, Exhibit B, the one that I illustrated on the PowerPoint, or similar in likeness is used in the location illustrated in Exhibit A, and then extra landscaping is provided to further buffer the enclosure from James Drive.
Thank you. Council, entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve for discussion.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve for discussion. Okay. Any further discussion by council?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, Ms. Burgess, is the applicant present tonight?
Yes.
Yes.
Does the applicant have any statement they want to release on the property at this time?
Yeah, I can.
Absolutely. If you'll just come on up, introduce yourself, which entity you represent, and what this is.
Yes, my name is Randall Stallings. I'm with Foresight Group, representing Gateway Crossing LLC and Chick-fil-A. I'm the civil engineer. So we're looking to request this variance for the placing the dumpster where we have it located in the front yard. Elizabeth basically laid it out there. Putting it in any other location would require, either impedance on our stacking, or it just helps with the layout. Our goal is to keep as much of the traffic on site as possible. As you can see, we tend to do that with very long drive-through and quite a few parking spaces there. Where we have placed it to us is furthest from the public right-of-way, so we think that's better for people coming up 515 and Camp Road there. We appreciate the recommendation for approval by both the staff and the planning commission, and we accept the conditions. We submitted those renderings of the dumpster, so we're good with those. And we will do our best in the space around the dumpster to plant, all the landscaping that we can to help with that. There are some utilities in the area, but other than that, yes, we're good with all that.
And I'm assuming that this is something you've encountered before on other projects with the same entity? Dumpster location, drive-through, stacking. This can't be the only time you've done this.
Oh, no. Yeah, we've encountered other variances before with placement of all of our elements, right? All of our, order canopies, drive-through, the meal delivery area, where the patio sits. We've had quite a few, and Chick-fil-A is okay with this location here, thinks it works best. Our back of house there, where people would roll dumpster, or there's a little room on the side for some storage, is the quickest path for them there. And we looked at some other placement, but again, we thought, we felt like keeping it from the public right away was the cleaner, no pun intended there, but option to put it on the north side there.
All right. Chick-fil-A thinks that's the best location, and I appreciate that input.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you.
problem.
Any
Any other questions?
I'd like to make a comment. When this first came before us, I started a real quick history. I'm from East Point, and Chick-fil-A's first out parcel was at Greenbrier Mall, which was less than a mile from my house. I went to high school with the Kathy, so to think that I've lived almost 30 years in the community that doesn't have a Chick-fil-A is a little unusual, but I have been looking at, since I heard about this, about some of their other parcels, including in Charlotte and other places, and this is a pretty common thing, I think, for traffic, and the appearances of their buildings are really just, they handle a lot of the issues that other companies, with fenestration and other things, they really make a nice looking building, and we're really excited.
Good.
And soon, so wrong. Now that it's been made public.
Sooner rather than
Hopefully.
All right, so we have a motion and a second.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. And amen.
Opposed, same. And y'all can just say we're divorced, because I was, for a moment, I was afraid we weren't going to do that. And my wife would not let me go home, so.
Well, then we can say a recall.
Maybe we get a button.
All right. Item number 4. Consideration and approval of zoning amendment request form. James.
Good evening again, Mayor and members of the City Council. As you will recall, a couple of meetings ago, we brought a request from First Mountain Tasting Room to consider modifying the specialty shop wine ordinance. And at that time, City Council instructed staff to go back to the Development Committee and work to develop a standardized form so that all requests that come before City Council can be uniform and presented in the same format and requests. We did so. This current form that you have in your packet has gone through the Development Infrastructure Committee. It has gone through Mr. Siphon as well, and so we are bringing this back to City Council for approval to add this process into our request from area businesses.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion at this time, council, to approve the submitted zoning amendment request form.
Motion to approve as presented, this
As
to go through
presented.
committee.
Kurt, thank you. Second, please.
Second.
Jim? Any discussion by council?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, if I may. This is a standard process and document the city is going to benefit from. The businesses will also benefit from this. We want to make sure that we pave the way for the future for business and interactions with our businesses that look to change our ordinances. Our ordinances are on the books for a reason. There are fees attached to this at the staff level and the determination what those fees are. Ms. Burgess has addressed some of that. That is at the staff level. And I believe as long as the business is in compliance with all applicable laws and ordinances, this should be entertained for their benefit.
Very well. Any further discussion by council?
Yes, sir. So my discussions are going to be a little bit more guttural, because I would like to add to the motion an attestation that anybody that applies through this form attest that they are compliant with our ordinances as written. The reason that I was willing to table another item on the agenda because I think there are some gaps in our alcohol policies, procedures, and ordinances. That carries over to other superseding departments, particularly constitutional departments as it relates to the service of food. And I think that we need to clean all that up before we continue to submit or allow alcohol licenses for this or that and this. And that's really what I want. I know that there are businesses that are out of compliance with our food ordinances. I've also confirmed that those same businesses may be in compliance from the Public Health Department, and I think we need to make our ordinances somehow parallel with those so that we can enforce them. And I certainly don't think we should be granting variances or changing our ordinances for people who already don't follow the ones that we have. As a matter of fact, I take it so seriously, I'll refer back to our oath of office, which declares that that's what we will protect, is our charter, our ordinances, the state, and the United States Constitution. So I've reached out to that business and was accommodated on the alcohol part of it, never heard a reply on the food part. So I just think there's still some work to be done before we continue to put wine in one shop and beer in another and whiskey here and there, and that's my opinion. So I'd like to amend the ordinance, amend the document, but that's up to council. At a minimum.
Council, what's your pleasure?
We do have a motion and a second that will need to be voted on before we move forward.
We do have a motion and a second to approve this one
I have
as submitted. But
Question.
now,
I have a question.
what's your
Before
question?
we move, the advertising in the newspaper, we talked about that. Are we going to be responsible for that? Or, it doesn't spell it, that's why I'm asking.
Committee suggested that a publisher's affidavit be presented from the local organ as similar as in the judicial system. Judicial systems require publisher's affidavit. It's an official document that the local organ would be able to provide to the applicant.
Okay.
That should be provided to us as well.
Okay.
I like that. I like the flavor.
Is that correct, Ms. Burgess?
I like to add that I'm in no way against businesses doing what they need to do to make business and to keep our customers happy. I think that intentionally or not, they're taking advantage of our ordinances, and as entrepreneurs, that's what entrepreneurs do. But I think there's some room that we need to draw in the belt before it continues to grow and eventually gets out of hand.
So what I'm hearing then, you're really looking for more than just them attesting that they meet it. Are you saying we need to look at our ordinance, review it, and for potential changes?
I think as it pertains to this document, I'm fine with just a change to an attestation, if that's legal to do.
I'm glad I wouldn't have gotten that one out.
Just talk this hard, I'm slowing down a bit about it, but, and I'm fine with moving ahead, as long as they're in compliance with our ordinances, they can apply. But if they're not, they can't. And that's gonna put some responsibility on somebody to verify that they are or they aren't, which we should be doing anyway. As far as the other ordinances, I think there's some disparity between our ordinances and what the state allows as it relates to food. And I think there's some lack of clarity in our ordinances about wine, beer, and beer, and what is package sales, what is not package sales. I mean, selling a bottle of wine is potentially a package sale, but you can't sell a six-pack of beer. If you want me to express some of my concerns, we're having these complicated events where we encourage people to come to our town and support our businesses. And if we allow enough package set, we've already kind of let one in some degrees by mistake, but if we're selling six-packs on Main Street, people aren't going to be going into LC Taco or other places to buy beer. And so I think all those things need to be, the sooner we evaluate those, the sooner we look at those specific things, I think the better off we'll be.
So for procedural purposes, I want to move forward with this motion in a second. And even if we don't pass that, then I think at this point we need to table this document, or I'll entertain a motion to table, and then that will give us another 30 days to put whatever else you want on this and bring it back to council.
So for point of order, I'm not aware that we have to act on a motion before it can be amended.
I have a motion and a second to approve. I don't have any further motion to amend.
Mr. Sutton?
Boy, y'all are asking me Robert's Rules of Order. I think you can do an amendment just so long as it's clear from the motion what the action of the council is. And that may not be truly by Robert's Rules of Order, but your charter lets you set your own procedure in how you handle meetings. So I would suggest that if, the goal is to amend the motion, that we just go ahead and have a motion to amend with a second, vote on that amendment, and then you'll vote on the motion as amended.
We'll entertain a motion to amend at this time.
So move.
Second.
Okay, a motion by Sonny to amend and a second by Ann.
You need to vote on that
Motion and a second. Any further discussion on the amendment? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. And we are amended. So we have amended one, and now I'm going to ask Sonny if you will state that motion that we had previously, and I heard you were the one that...
My motion stands, second stands. I believe we just need to vote on it at this time.
Well, motion as amended.
Motion as amended.
Motion is amended. I will entertain we have a motion and a second as amended. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. And we are now back in order again. And that's the way this gets a little complicated. So
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
thank you.
Well, let me see if I can throw it back in the middle of the road.
We don't need that.
I mentioned changes to the ordinance. Is this something we could assign to a committee?
Don't let them give it to admin.
I think it needs to either be finance or business, but those are the two that are, I don't want to say they're disagreeing on, but there are issues between those two, so either one of those I think would work. So that's either admin or building.
To answer,
What could be building?
to answer that question, there's a gap between information, and I think we're going to be able to address that in the future.
So you're saying it doesn't need to be looked at now?
I don't believe it this time, no, sir.
Okay.
I don't.
All right.
Moving along. Committee reports, public safety and judicial would be council members Kurt Redfield and Snavy. You asked them for brevity is a really good short word.
Mayor and council committee did meet. Both departments were recently involved in Christmas parade in downtown. Wonderful event. Thank you to both departments. Thank you to the public for showing up. Merry Christmas to everyone. Both departments continue to operate at a higher level of efficiency. They're both answering calls well, and at this time, no major needs are present that I'm aware of from committee.
The same?
I think he summed it up.
Thank you. Parks and Properties, Dr. Proctor and John Pass.
Did we meet this month? We didn't meet this month, but however, Kimley Horn is working on a conceptual ideas for Jasper City Park. There's a survey out there, and encourage members of council as well as the public to fill out that survey. For the park, we're working on establishing the accounts which facilitate oversight of those funds. Doris Wigington, they continue to work on the bike trails. Lee Newton Park, we are looking at electrical upgrades. We also have some budgeted items related to trails on that park coming up. And then, of course, the green flush restrooms that are on schedule, I think, for April of next year, which will be where the old lake property was. So thank you, sir.
And invite everybody to come and use our parks that we have. Come by with Doris Wiggins and look at the pump track and the skill track and all that's been done to the trails. It's really looking neat. And also, some people don't know it, but we do have a dog park too. Let's see it get a little more use.
Thank you. Enterprise funds will be Jim Mooney and Dr. Proctor.
Work continues on the wastewater plant. The installation of 16-inch line from the plant to discharge was started on December 4th, I believe. Sounds sort of familiar, like maybe it was today. Bid opening scheduled for this Thursday for Grandview water line repair project. Look forward to seeing what happens with those bids.
So as I mentioned earlier, I think the most exciting thing that is finally coming to at least the evaluation phase is that the engineers have submitted phase 1 for our class 5 injection well, which is basically a septic tank for those of you who, so we're going to be drinking out of a septic tank. That'll be, I'm sure Dan will love that one, but basically what you're doing is you're putting water that's groundwater into the mines. And then we will be able to keep we will be able to, at certain times, make sure we keep those filled. For the last 3 years, we've not been able to use those mines other than what would naturally flow into them. And so once we get to this phase, we'll be able to have the mines full most of the time. We're hoping that there's already surface water getting into the mines from creeks or through springs, which will change some of the regulations and make it a less complicated process, but we just don't know that yet. And this is the first one that will be done in Georgia, and we've gotten to the point where they've done all this has been using geologists, and they're very hopeful that very soon we'll know the answers and whether we can move forward to that. And when you put that treated water in the ground, it doesn't have to be treated to the standards that you treat it before you deliver it. Matter of fact, there's a lot of things you can't put in it because you don't want it ruining the groundwater. But nonetheless, it's been a long, drawn-out process. May of 2020 is when we self-declared about the mine situation, and EPD is finally coming our way. At least we think. So it's really exciting.
Thank you. Development, local infrastructure, Kirk Redfield and John Pass.
Mayor and Council Committee did meet current development projects. We have a status update on multiples of those. We have erosion control and sediment deficiencies. There are multiple projects moving along inside the City of Jasper. Some are compliant, some are being brought into compliance. And I appreciate the department and staff's work on that. We do have reporting on the planning and development for building permits, inspections, renewals, license, sign permits, code enforcement. And local infrastructure, we are finalizing engineering on stormwater and drainage updates in a couple of locations, 3 across the city. And then we are waiting on the Department of Transportation for a TAP grant update for what we have applied.
Thank you. John? All right. Finance Administration, Ian Slavey and Jim Libby.
We had our last budget meeting, public hearing this evening. Had one prior to this one. That I assume will be on next month's agenda for approval. The hotel motel tax our taxes are paid up to date. We did approve a job description for the city clerk's job position that was approved on the consent agenda. Thank you for that. I think we also looked at the one for utility director.
We did.
And it was on there also, but I think it really went to 2 committees. The Enterprise Fund Committee also looked at that one.
I think that sums it up for December.
Information Technology, Kirk and Jim.
Mayor and Council, the committee has not met, and we do have a deadline looming to the end of the year. There's one vendor left which has been communicated with. We are scheduling a meeting with that vendor. At that time, the committee is going to work with staff on determining the RFP process, when we'll let that out. It should not be much longer. That's in the final stages.
Thank you. Jim?
Nothing to add.
Okay, and now I'll take a mayor's privilege and say that this is my final meeting.
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
Next one, you get to,
Oh, I get to step up, but this is my final meeting as a regular council meeting. At the next one will be a transition meeting, and at that point, then, of course, our new mayor-elect and council members will take office. And we look forward to that. That's not scheduled yet, but I'm sure that we will schedule that as close after the first of the year as possible. And I want to also say that it's been an honor to serve as mayor. This has been the shortest 4 years of my life in some ways, and it's been the longest in others. But I will say that we have accomplished a great deal, and I've been very proud to be a part of the process of working with this wonderful council of people that all of you have elected, and I want to commend them for doing such a marvelous job for our city. I look forward to what's going to happen in the future, but I'll look forward from my living room for the most part to see exactly how we carry these programs, and I have every confidence in them, and I think that our city is going to be well served. In that regard, then, I'm going to say that I need a motion to go into executive session for personnel.
So moved.
And a second. All in favor? Opposed, same. And we're going to be in executive session, so thank you all for attending.